Well, gentlemen, I think it is time to get rolling here.
Right.
So I'll just talk a little bit slowly so that there's a few people I know who are logging on. In fact, as I'm talking, I'm seeing people logging in here.
Yeah.
So let me just
And I
maybe just
think-
wait just 30 more seconds here because I see the numbers kind of incrementing.
Yeah. I think they can also hear us, I hope. And see
Well,
us.
I hope so. um, yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
If any of you who are currently attendees want to just raise your hand in the interface there, at least I'll know we have. Yes, thank you, Travis. And oh, goodness me, everyone's got their hands up. Well, thank you very much, all of you. All right, well, let me just do some introductions here. My name is Tim Cox, and I'm going to be the moderator, I suppose, here today with these two gentlemen. So welcome all of you and good Tuesday to you. In today's webinar, we're going to learn about how AI and specifically ChatGPT are being applied to improve aftermarket service capabilities by bringing the power of these two technologies to bear on these specific areas, troubleshooting and diagnostics. So today, I have two gentlemen joining me, and if I can just now go to the next slide, here we go. Two experts in this area. First is Michael Bloomberg of Bloomberg Advisory Group. Michael is an expert on building and growing profitable software and service businesses and is a recognized thought leader in the areas of service lifecycle management, field service, and reverse logistics. Welcome, Michael.
There you are. Pleasure.
There you are. Thank you for being here. Thank you. As well, I'd like to welcome Ajay Walavalkar. And Ajay, he's VP of Data Science at Bruvity. He leads the AI team there that designs and trains a variety of neural network-based machine learning models, along with fine-tuning and deployment of large language models within Bruvity's service software offerings. Eminently qualified, obviously. Thank you, Ajay, for being here as well.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah. You both sound loud and clear. That's great. Before we get started, just one housekeeping element. Everyone, I'm sure, here knows the drill. We will have a Q&A, a moment at the end of this session to talk to any questions. But please, if you would, just put your questions into the Q&A tab as they occur to you, and then we will get to those at the end. All right, so Michael, you are going to lead the charge here, sir. And so I'm handing the microphone to you.
Okay, fantastic. Let's look at the agenda. Let's go a little bit more deeper into what we're going to discuss today. So we're going to cover the state of the aftermarket service industry and why it's ripe for the use and application of AI tools, and more specifically in the area of troubleshooting and diagnostics. We'll examine what is AI and what's the application to aftermarket service. We'll go into some discussion on how AI is being deployed in the service environment. We'll give you sort of a roadmap of where to start building AI capabilities, and then we'll conclude with a few takeaways and an opportunity for you, the audience, to ask us some questions about what you've learned today. Next slide. So why such an increased attention on using AI tools for troubleshooting and diagnostics? Well, as you all probably know, in the aftermarket service industry, there's data. There's lots of data everywhere. It's coming from different sources. It's coming from the institutional knowledge that's built within the organization. It's coming from product manuals. It's coming from past interactions that service technicians may have with remote experts. It's also coming from historical data that might be in a CRM or ERP system. And so what happens is when a technician is out in the field, or if a customer is calling in, the person who's trying to resolve the issue may have to access data, information, knowledge from various sources. And that could be very, very time consuming. And as we know, the longer time things take in the service industry, the more downtime it results in, the higher level of dissatisfaction it causes, the more frustration it causes, for both customers and technicians, and it just becomes very problematic. So these AI tools that we're going to be discussing today help us to automate and streamline and improve the efficiency of the troubleshooting and diagnostic experience. Let's move to the next slide. And what we see across the industry is this just tremendous acknowledgement that technology is getting more complex, requires more knowledge to support. In fact, I'm sharing some data here from our friends at the Service Council, who annually they conduct the voice of the field service engineer. And in this past one they did earlier this year with over 200 participants, they found that the top 3 challenges or the top 3 ways that work has changed for field service engineers is that technology requires more knowledge than ever before. So it's more technically complex technology. It requires more knowledge to service and support it, and the products are becoming more complex themselves. So that's all pointing in the direction of a need for a tool like AI and ChatGPT to make it easier, to facilitate, to make it more proficient to troubleshoot and diagnose issues that are occurring in the field with the product. Let's move to the next slide. And as part of this survey, the Service Council also asked these technicians about where are your companies making investments. So about roughly 1/4 of the respondents indicated that their companies are making new investments in AI and machine learning. So we're starting to see a trend here, a little bit of a wave that people are investing in these new technologies. And then another 60% indicated that their companies are continuing to invest in and expand. In other words, expand in what they've already invested in when it comes to knowledge management tools. And I view AI as a subset of knowledge management tools. So we're seeing continued investments, more investments in this area. And another way of examining this is where the technicians say that their companies are making it easy for them to work. And 56% said they're making it easier for them to find the parts that are needed for a service visit. So as most of us know, parts are a critical resource in service and aftermarket service, and also it's part of the troubleshooting process to know which part to select. So a little bit more than half indicate that companies are investing in that or are making it easier for them to find those parts. And another 2/3 are saying that they're making it easier for them to find information and documentation to resolve servicing inquiries. And again, AI provides a mechanism to do that. Let's move to the next slide. So I want to just talk very briefly about the timeline of the developments in the aftermarket service industry when it comes to troubleshooting and diagnostics. So there's been a bit of an evolution that has occurred up until now, and I'd say it was a very somewhat of a slow process. The tools were available. Let me back up. They weren't always available. If you go back to 1970s and 80s and even before that, there were really no tools. Everything was done manually. Technician would have to troubleshoot it themselves, try different things, use manuals and maybe call somebody for help who may have seen this problem before. Then we go in the 80s and we're starting to see some form of automation, decision trees and test equipment and portable diagnostics. I remember vendors that created like these clunky they were laptops, but they're very clunky, and they'd have the technician hook up the machine and diagnose it. Then around the 1990s and 2000s, the technology improves even more. We saw knowledge database and case-based reasoning. And up until that point, I say that a lot of what was going on was troubleshooting and diagnostics that required the technician or the person using the tool to think like the machine, to think very logically, a structured approach to asking questions and querying the system to get answers. And it was time consuming. It was also very expensive to implement those kinds of solutions. So not everyone had it. But around the 2000 timeframe, we saw the advancements in telemetry and IoT and remote monitoring. So it became a lot more easier to implement these tools, less costly to implement. We had onboard sensors, not that expensive. So it became more accessible, these tools. And then today, we've really gone from an evolution to really a revolution, where the technology is inexpensive to compared to what was out there before, easy to implement and more stable, more flexible. So today we're seeing many companies implementing AI and machine learning and ChatGPT. And we're going to continue to see more. It's really making a dramatic impact on the industry. Let's move to the next slide. So let's now examine some of the applications of AI. So you may have heard these terms before, AI and ChatGPT. They're used in troubleshooting. AI basically enables machines to recognize patterns in data and make predictions based on that data. So why is that important? Because it can help us resolve issues more quicker and accurately than ever before, than some of the traditional methods. Even with the IoT, many of those solutions require somebody to observe the data that's being fed back to the service organization and interpret it and make a decision, where AI does that for you. And so as a result, AI has a potential to transform the industry. And also what's great about this technology is machines can learn from past experience and improve over time. When you were dealing with these other types of troubleshooting and diagnostics, particularly those were automated, someone had to program that, populate those databases, populate those systems. But now with the algorithms that are available, the knowledge is self-learning. So, Ajay, I have a question for you. You're an expert here today. There are these different terms, and they're hard to keep up with the terms and what they mean and how they're used, and it can be confusing. Can you explain the difference between ChatGPT and AI? And are they the same, or how are they different?
Okay, sure, Michael. So AI is a broader field of technology. Like you say, it's enabling machines to learn from experience or data. So AI is a broader field of technology. ChatGPT is a subset of AI. It's a type of AI or artificial intelligence technology. As we say, this AI is learning from data. The data can be in multiple ways. So the data can be text or natural language text, as it is called, the way we write as the humans write, read, understand, talk. So that's the natural language text or NLP, natural language processing type of AI. Then there can be image AI. The data can be in the form of image. The data can be in the form of videos, can be in the form of audio signals, can also be in the form of, sensor data, like, pressure, temperature sensor. If we can go to the next slide.
Yeah, I think next slide sums this up. Yeah.
Right. So that's overall field of AI, and ChatGPT is a specific type of NLP or natural language processing AI. What has happened over during late last year is ChatGPT has become very popular because of the generative aspect of AI. So what that does is ChatGPT can generate text. It can converse like a human would. It generates text that closely resembles the text that is generated by humans. It's indistinguishable from what a human would write. And that is a major leap forward. And that has made it very popular. But ChatGPT, as we are using it, the free version or the net version, it is a front end to a GPT-based large language model. What is powering this ChatGPT is the large language models by OpenAI. And so there is a model there, and that model can be leveraged to perform other tasks as well, other than chatting or conversation. Any kind of NLP type of task we can leverage these large language models who can do other functions as well.
If I may, gentlemen, I just saw a question coming in, and it's relevant, I think, to what you are talking about right now, actually, and that is Travis Myers has just asked a question, which is, are you saying that we don't need a human or humans in the loop here? Can you elaborate on that, Ajay?
Sure. So ChatGPT in particular, or the training of the language model, did not need a lot of humans in the process. So it can generate a language model if we throw a lot of text at it. So if we scrape the entire web, Wikipedia, all books, etc., and it can consume that and programmatically learn the structure of the language and things like that. The generative part is it can start generating, next words. If you ask it a question and give it a context, it can start generating, sequence of words. But there is a step in between where, because it needs to sound natural, and it needs to perform tasks in a more robust way. There is a step which was called reinforcement learning through human feedback. So there was a step in between for ChatGPT development where they looked at the output of the model and provided a feedback that this output is better than that output, this output is very good, this output is very bad. And this method is called reinforcement learning. So that it went through that, and then it came out with the kind of proficiency that we see today.
Thank you. Travis, I'm assuming that answered your question. If not, just type a follow on and we'll get to that as well. So yes, thanks very much. Thank you. Okay, let's to next slide. Is that right, gentlemen?
Yeah, let's move to the next slide then, Tim.
Okay, here we go.
And Ajay, thanks for that explanation. So key takeaways for me from that explanation, also from my experience in using ChatGPT, as I found the following. I think everyone will agree with me here who's used it and familiar with it. I think this is a build slide, Tim.
Oh, you're quite right. Excuse me.
You gotta go back.
Yes.
There we go. Okay.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No troubles. So first of all, ChatGPT is conversational. I don't have to think like a machine. I don't have to be extremely logical and structured in my queries. I can think like I think. I can talk the way I talk. Type my language out the way I would be talking about something, the way I would be thinking about asking a question, and I ask it that way, and I get a result back that way. I would, like I said, I wouldn't have to think in a very structured or type the query in a very structured, logical format. I would be obviously rational in my entries. I also don't have to be thinking about what codes, what product code should I be typing in, what drop-down menus do I need to look at. I can just enter that information. And ChatGPT also provides contextual understanding. Once I prompt it for something, the ChatGPT will understand what I'm focusing on. If I'd say I'm having a problem with my computer and I need to resolve it, it understands that I'm asking about a troubleshooting issue. It's not telling me to go buy a different brand of computer. And it's also flexible and scalable. It's easy to implement. It's easy to use. It's flexible. As I said, scalable. So all these factors have made ChatGPT have an environment where it's consumerized. You're seeing people in all walks of life and all types of business functions using ChatGPT. There's been some research that's kind of alluding to the fact that in a couple of years, many business functions will be performed by AI and ChatGPT. And the other thing, it's becoming democratized because of that. So more people are able to use it. They can use it for anything, the ChatGPT, from writing songs to creating marketing plans and email campaigns. And I'll give you a secret. I use ChatGPT for my work. So some of my marketing content is developed with the assistance of ChatGPT. So that's why we're just seeing such an increased demand and interest in ChatGPT. These are some of the reasons.
I just want to confirm, Michael, you are really with us. It's not a deep fake of you here today.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
You're here. All right. That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, let's move on. So let's look at how AI has been deployed in a service environment. So this is some very striking research from McKinsey & Company. And they researched how generative AI is being deployed. And in this case, we're talking about ChatGPT across a wide array of business functions. And they found that one of the functions had the most benefit, the greatest impact, was in customer operations. And as we all know, aftermarket service and field service are part of customer operations. So McKinsey's research indicates that 38% of all expenditures on customer operations will utilize generative AI in some form or the other. And that will lead to 400 billion incremental economic value that's being created by either saving money, saving time, saving money, or creating new ways of monetizing services because of this technology. So can we go back to the next slide before I move on to this one? So when I think of new technology like generative AI and people's concerns and fears about using the technology, because there is some, because there's a concern that with all this impact, all this benefits, it might replace the need for human beings. Yeah, yes, indeed, I'm here, but maybe in a couple of years, it's not me. It's a deep model of me presenting. But here's the thing to think about, and this is what I think about. I think about a folk tale that I learned when I was a kid. It was about John Henry. And John, for those of you who are familiar with the story, might know what I'm talking about. Others, let me tell you who John Henry was. John Henry was a folk character, and he was this big, strong man that worked on the railroads and he had his pet ox named Blue ox named Babe, actually, his name Babe. And John Henry was doing a great job at hammering the nails into the rails. Okay. And along comes this new technology, this new machine that claims it's steam powered, and it claims it could hammer nails faster than John Henry and his ox Babe. So John Henry says, no way, it's not possible. So the townsfolk challenge John Henry and the owners and operators of this steam-based machine, who could do the best job at laying the rails by hammering the nails, those big nails into the rails. So there's a contest. And on one track is John Henry and Babe, other track is this machine. And they're going at it, and the machine is hammering away, putting the nails in, and John Henry's hammering away. And he's sweating and he's panting and he's getting out of breath, but he keeps pushing, he keeps driving to get it done. And they go about 12 hours and it's sundown, and they both finish. The machine finishes its job. John Henry finishes laying the rails. But what happens to our dear John Henry is he dies from exhaustion. And what that shows us is that at some point, technology is going to catch up with us. You know, if we don't open our eyes to this new technology and find ways to invest in it or deploy it, it will catch up with us. Either our competitors will be doing it and will be made redundant or non-existent, or our customers are going to demand it of us. And if we don't respond to customer requirements, we're also going to go out of business. So all the reason to look at this. And of course, on our next slide, we have some data. As I say, the proof is in the pudding. So here's some research I did, my firm did, where we looked at the troubleshooting and diagnostic process of a complex piece of equipment. In this case, it's a medical device. And there's a number of tasks that are involved in troubleshooting and diagnosing a product. And they're described here. And each of these tasks takes time, from 1 to 2 hours to 4 to 12 hours or more, or days. And AI has an impact in every one of these, from a moderate impact to high impact. So in the initial assessment and symptom identification, sure, you could use AI to just validate this is what we're seeing. This is what might be the problem using that. But where it really has the biggest benefit is in the areas of preliminary troubleshooting to isolating the cause, diagnostic testing, where we're running in-depth diagnostic testing, utilizing special tools or knowledge to validate and get to the problem. And then lastly, issue identification analysis to validate that this is the right solution. So when we're not using an AI solution, these troubleshooting tasks can take up to 12 hours, perhaps days to complete. But with AI, we're saving a significant amount of time. We're also getting more accurate results. So it goes from, 1 day or longer to within a half day or a full day of completing the task. So all the more reason to consider AI as a solution, as part of your toolkit within aftermarket service operation. Next slide. And we've also been able to obtain through our research the impact that AI has on key performance indicators. And again, there's a number of different key performance indicators that are impacted by AI tools, and they all have some significant improvements. The areas where they have the greatest impact is reduction in the mean time to repair. That's what MTTR stands for, is mean time to repair. Increasing the technician productivity by 20 to 30%, and reducing equipment downtime by 20 to 30%. But even some of these other areas are nothing to be ashamed of. If we can improve a 10 to 20% in first time fix rate, that's phenomenal. So lots of areas where AI is going to impact. It's not just one KPI has benefits, it has multiple benefits to multiple KPIs. Let's move on. So, of course, there are always some challenges and considerations when implementing a new technology. And one of those is data privacy and security. It's often asked is, will my data be secure from using ChatGPT? Because other people can use ChatGPT, and if ChatGPT learns from previous experience, they might learn about my data. And then another area is training and prompting. Yeah, it's easy, it's intuitive to use. I use it. It took me a little bit of time to figure it out, but it does require that you train the technicians and customers how to prompt it to get the right kind of solutions. And then there's also the issue of cost and scalability. Out of the box, it's inexpensive, but over time becomes expensive to deal with large databases, and the prices may also increase as the demand for this technology increases. And lastly, there's hallucinations and pronouncements. That's a concern. Some of you might have heard this term hallucination as it applies to ChatGPT. An hallucination is that ChatGPT just gives the wrong answer. It's looking at some other experience or data and giving the answer. So one of the examples I learned about was that asking the ChatGPT, how long does it take to walk across the English Channel? And it gives an answer of like 1 day, 12 hours. Well, you can't walk across the English Channel because there's a body of water. So that's an hallucination. Now, pronouncement is something that really appears to be accurate, and it's presented in a very definitive way, but it's inaccurate. Like it's diagnosing something and it says replace the circuit board, print circuit board, but that's not the issue. And that's called a pronouncement. And there's some studies that have been done that say if a user of ChatGPT gets 2 pronouncements, they're going to assume that ChatGPT was a waste of time. That session had no impact, no value, and they're going to stop using it. So the question that exists is, how do we prevent that? So I want to turn to Ajay with a question that's, obviously some people are relying on AI and ChatGPT for mission critical tasks. How would you address their concerns? How would you alleviate their fears and doubts, when it comes to the accuracy, the reliability, and the privacy and the security of the data when you're using ChatGPT?
Yeah, sure, Michael. These concerns are real. There is no denying that. In addition to these 4, I think I would also like to address maybe one more concern that some people have. Is AI going to make humans redundant, right? At least in the field service world, and that's not a real scenario at this point. It's many decades away from this, but AI is a very, very useful tool. It can be a very, very useful tool that can improve your productivity. It can improve their customer satisfaction. It can give a competitive advantage over those who are reluctant to adopt it. It's like adopting computers versus not adopting computers when the computers first time came over, right? So it's a tool. It will enhance your technicians' productivity, service organizations' productivity. It will give them access to insights into data that they previously didn't have, and it will help them make better decisions. But the decisions will be made by the humans. It will be driven by humans on how they want to use the AI and leverage its advantages. Now, this question about data privacy, security, all these concerns, let me club 2 of them together and answer, and then other 2 and answer that. So data privacy, security, cost, scalability. These four sort of issues, or these two broader issues, are there because in order to access these large language models or LLMs that drive this chat GPT or any other such tool, the query needs to be sent over the internet. So the data needs to go from your organization's secure network cloud onto third party. So that's where the data privacy security concerns come. And then the cost is, you are charged every time you use it. So if you have thousands or 100,000s or millions of requests, the cost can add up. This is a true scenario. But as we know, the field is changing very quickly. So in addition to something like a chat GPT or OpenAI, there are other host of other LLMs, large language models, that are available that you can host in your own network, that are open source. So the cost issues can be significantly reduced if you host them in your own organization's cloud. The data security privacy can be taken care of. So there are solutions that can be designed to counter these challenges that you're saying here, right? Hallucinations and pronouncements and prompting, these are sort of related issues. The one thing to understand is what is chat GPT, for example, trained on is data on the internet. It is not particular to any industry or any vertical or any such thing. So it can potentially have conflicting information, redundant information, incorrect information in its data source, and it has not been checked on that. So if you use it out of box and prompt and ask it a question, it can give wrong answer. But again, there is something called prompt engineering, the field that is developing now, where you can develop vertical applications based on these large language models that force the language model to answer only based on the data that you provide, the official manual, the official service bulletin, what have you, right? And it forces the large language model to extract information, knowledge only from that. And these are the solutions where problems of hallucinations, pronouncement, they can be eliminated with right engineering and right design of the end tool that is deployed.
Ajay, I think we could all benefit from your wisdom and experience here. And I really like the point you made about this technology not replacing humans. We still need human ingenuity to use it, to operate it. And so I think of this tool, it's a partnership between the human and
absolutely.
So let's move to the next slide. So let's kind of give some thought about where do we start. Let's move to the next slide. We talked so far about chat GPT and an AI solution. So there's really two directions or two options a company has, a service executive has, when they're thinking about building AI capabilities, in this case for the express purposes of troubleshooting and diagnostics. So we can go with an off-the-shelf solution where we're buying chat GPT or licensing it as a subscription, actually. Another term that's been we've here is calling that a horizontal solution. So just buying kind of a generic solution. The benefits of that is it's quick to evaluate and implement. You get regular updates from your large language model provider. There's choices of LLMs that are available, and it can apply across a broad range of tasks, from marketing, content development, sales, lead generation, and even service issue troubleshooting. The alternative, which is going with a purpose-built AI solution, also considered a vertical solution, where it's a vendor who has specific domain knowledge in a given area. In this case, we're talking about troubleshooting and diagnostics. And as a result, because of that domain-specific knowledge, it minimizes and even eliminates the probability that there's going to be hallucinations. And when the vendor's thinking this through, they're thought about how the workflows need to rely and interact with other workflows that service organization is dealing with. So it's often integrated, or there's integrations into other back-end systems and platforms and back office and front office applications. And through a purpose-built solution, you can apply multiple large language models that are best specific for the task that you're dealing with. And lastly, it allows you to leverage open source solutions for cost optimization. So it seems to me the way to go if you really want to get the best bang for the buck, long term and even short term, would be to go with a purpose-built AI solution. And so, Ajay, can you elaborate that a little bit further? You know, what I see is people are hesitant to make investments in either one of these. And so, what would you advise them? How would you recommend they take first steps in deciding what to do and then implementing a solution?
Yeah, that's a very important question, Michael. So yes, it is a vast field. It is changing very quickly, and somebody who wants to get into this needs to first make sure that whatever investments you are putting in, you get return on investment for that. So if we go to the next slide, there are four main parts that we need to consider, or four main points I would like to make here. One is that like any solution that you would develop, you are going to need to understand what KPIs do I want to address, what is my goal after deploying this solution. So you need to think of outcomes, objectives, KPIs, all these things. But from the AI point of view, the main source of all this efficiency gain is going to be your data. What data do you have in your organization? How is it organized? We talked about these large language models like GPT, and what we know is that it can understand very messy, high volume, complex text data as long as it is fed to it. It can go through it and it can make sense of it and bring insights, bring knowledge out of it. So if the organization has these kind of data sources that are remaining untapped, that's the first place to look at. That okay, this is where I can get a quick return on my investment. Also, like you said, Michael, we need to understand who's the end user, who's going to use this insights from the data, and how would the whole thing, new solution fit into their current workflows. So what problems are we solving for them, and how can we do that very easily? So these are the questions that help us understand to design the solution correctly and deploy it correctly for the organization. And these three are talking about short term, right away return on investment. But I also want to point out one additional long term point, that as this AI technology expands and becomes more prevalent, all of it is going to be driven by data. So yes, we are generating data now through our processes, but can we tweak our processes to generate more data, or can we generate more quality of data? Organizations can look at that and start creating that data, which can be leveraged in future, maybe a year down the road, and build more solutions, extract more value out of the data. So these are sort of the four pillars, I would say, on which we can think of building a solution.
This is excellent guidance and really great questions to ask ourselves when we're trying to determine what to do. So can you give us some real life examples of where this has been effective?
Can I just jump in? Because before we switch to that, there's this question that came in from John Tocado, and I think it might be a good one. Well, for either of you, actually. Firstly, understanding that demand for data scientists is set to increase exponentially over the next 5 years. How do we get these data scientists to do custom work, and how do we estimate the costs around that? Any thoughts around that, Ajay? How do you tackle that one?
Right. So, since these are sort of early times of AI adoption, everybody wants to have data science capabilities, but it is practically not possible to, have data scientists employed in your organizations full time for everybody. So there are solutions out there, like our solution Bruvity, which is specifically targeted towards a particular vertical, the field service engineering application. And we have data science team, and we build solutions for this particular vertical. So we take care of all of these considerations, and we all are also on top of the AI technology. As it changes, it's in our interest to keep modifying, keep updating, and keep building, more robust, faster, more cost-effective solutions. So that's what we keep doing. So not everybody would need to, employ data scientists in their organizations if they can get the tools. On the cost side, of course, it is always return on investment. How much is the solution going to cost to deploy and to run on a regular basis, and can it give us the cost advantage, the efficiency gains, that we seek. So that's where we set KPIs, we monitor them, and we make sure that the solution is delivering on the KPIs that it claims to. So that's how I would look at it.
And I see, John, you have another question. I think maybe we'll go to the next slide, because I think that some of what Ajay is about to deliver will answer that.
So why don't I review the question again? And that's AJ. Can you provide a real life example where the practical application has been used effectively in troubleshooting and diagnostics? And what were some of the outcomes and key metrics of this example that you're going to share?
Absolutely, Michael. Absolutely. Yeah. So this slide provides a summary of impact that we have seen with one of our deployments at a service organization. So there are three problems that we are trying to solve here, and those are captured in these three blurbs here. So one problem is, you have customers who want to triage their problem, who want to troubleshoot their problem, and if the troubleshooting is not successful, schedule a service call. So we deployed a AI-assisted customer bot, and the customer bot became very popular, and it started attracting a lot of customer visits, and we started deflecting a lot of calls away from the call centers. So these are the customers who came in, did their troubleshooting, were successful, never called the customer center, never scheduled a call. These are in the tune of 200K plus calls. So it's a big saving, big deflection of load of customers, of the customer service agents. The other tool is in the customer support agents, where we provided a similar bot, but which will guide the agents to do the troubleshooting, ask the right questions in the right series, and based on the information that the customer is talking about. And these agents, they were able to save calls, so they did not need to schedule a technician visit for these calls. And this save rate is in the order of 30%, 32%. So these are the technician visits that were eliminated, in improving technicians efficiency. The third one is what we are calling a part prediction engine. So here what we are doing is, if the technician needs to visit the equipment to fix it, based on the information that we have, we predict what parts are going to be required to fix it, so that once the technician goes there with the parts, they fix the appliance, and it's done in a single visit. So the first time completion rate has gone up from something like 70% to 84%, and it's a big saving on additional truck rolls that were required, because the technicians didn't know what parts to carry and were not carrying those parts. So these are some real life actual deployment statistics that I'm sharing here with you, and you can see that each of these blurbs is going to result in improved customer satisfaction as well, because the customers are getting quicker service, first time fixes, shorter wait times. All of these are going to help.
These are awesome results, Ajay. Thanks for sharing them with us. Now, you've been with Revolutionise for some time now, and when there's a new technology like this on the market, I find that at surface level, a superficial level, the solutions look similar. They all claim to do the same thing. Can you tell us and tell the audience? I'm sorry, tell the audience and me what differentiates you from other solutions, and really what sets you apart from what else is out there.
Sure, I'll be happy to. So Bruviti, we are an AI technology company. We have been in business for more than 6 years, building AI models, building AI solutions for field service organizations. That's been our vertical. We are doing this only for field service organizations, and we have had many solutions deployed at many OEMs, big organizations. Through these solutions, we are processing more than 3 million transactions per year, and it's increasing as we speak. Data, as I said, is a big is a backbone of all of AI, and we have been processing data, ingesting data in our data ingestion engine. More than 1,000 documents per day we keep injecting. And another very specific differentiation that we have, the main differentiation, is that our LLMs are fine-tuned for each domain based on data from that domain. So that makes our language model, large language model. When I say LLM, it's large language models. Our LLMs are more capable of handling use cases from that particular field service domain. That's the biggest differentiator that we have. If you go to the next slide, you will see that at the bottom of our solution, the foundation is all data, variety of data sources. It can be product data, service data, data from knowledge management, content management system, parts, connected, all of that. Even videos, etc. We pull all of that, and our data ingestion engine ingests that data and makes it available to our service platform, AI service platform, in a very secure manner, so that there is no data breach, and data is your data, your models are your model, kind of thing. And on our AI platform, service platform, we have variety of applications that are tailored for particular types of use cases, user bases, etc., from search to triage to prompting and all of this. And our solutions are designed in such a way that they can be easily accommodated. They can easily work seamlessly with all other applications that are there in the field service ecosystem. They can easily pull and push data to any and all of them, really. Right. So that is our main differentiation, our technology, and our focus on field service vertical, which has helped us develop a language model, large language model, that is specific to this domain, this type of application.
Thanks, Ajay. And Michael, a question just on this topic, and that is the data science team there, Ajay. How many guys you got working with you over in this area?
Yeah, we have close to 20 data scientists right now in our organization, and as somebody pointed out, there is demand for data scientists, so we are also growing our teams continuously.
So people should send their resumes to you. All right. Okay. Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt there, Michael. So back to you, sir.
Yeah, no worries. So to recap, you have a very robust platform that has capabilities for AI search, AI analytics, triage, prompting through GPT, and that draws in data and information and knowledge from a variety of different sources. And the solution itself, your platform, integrates with many leading enterprise solutions. So you can go right from the enterprise solution into your assist suite, and vice versa. You can share it, exchange data for both.
That's right, absolutely.
Perfect. So let's move on to the next slide, and let us kind of wrap up here. And then, of course, we'll open the webinar up to questions from the audience. So some of the takeaways are that, first of all, manual methods for troubleshooting and diagnostics are no longer practical. There's no reason why we should be trying to troubleshoot in the field, specifically when we have access to these tools available to us. The speed of innovation is accelerating at a faster rate than any other technology waves that we've seen. And it's resulting in solutions that lead to greater change to manage. So it takes some management to make these changes occur. Can we go back to the previous slide? The tools are faster and less expensive, and they're more flexible and lead to an accurate solution. And ChatGPT offers significant enhancements to AI and will have a tremendous impact on value creation within the customer service operation. And in the midterm, purpose-built AI solutions are going to be more efficient and effective than these I call them roll your own or off-the-shelf solutions. So with that, let's open the floor up to questions.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to pick a couple in a sequence I think is going to make sense. Starting first with a question from John. This is his follow-up from earlier. And I think it's to you, Ajay. It's how can you speak to how machine learning operations, I suppose, work? I mean, as a function, and how you implement that into an organization effectively. Because how do you get started with implementing machine learning technology?
Right. Okay. So we did talk a little bit about that. Finding out what KPIs, what are the challenges that you want to resolve, and what kind of data you think that can resolve. One way to think about this, especially on the GPT side or natural language processing side, is imagine that you could employ a human who could read all the data that you have, every text that you have, from agents' notes to the technicians' notes to customer feedback to anything, all your process notes in a millisecond. Ingest all of that and answer a question, any question that you ask. If the question that you're asking can be answered by this type of a superhuman, then you can design an AI solution to get that from the data that you have. It is possible to answer those questions. So those are the types of questions that you would want to go for. Initially, we see that people do try it out on a smaller set of issues, maybe just one type of equipment or one region of technicians or something like that. See that the KPIs that they want to move are really moving in the favorable direction, and then they deploy it in a wider organization to all technicians. And in terms of how do people in the organization access this, there are multiple ways of doing that. Sort of executable solutions, so solutions that are deployed web-based or whatever. That is one way. Your websites are another way. Apps, mobile apps are also possible. So it depends on what kind of user and what kind of workflow the organization has. Our engine, our AI platform can help any. I mean, it can be on the back end, and it can support any type of interaction.
Yeah, and I think it would be worth noting at this point, maybe as a little addendum to your answer there, that the training, right, component of developing an effective machine learning model, that it really is the time-consuming element, right? That you said you've been doing this for years and years now. And so you've built those models, they exist, and they've already been trained on a wide variety of appliance data. So I have a follow-up question, which I think is linked to this, actually. Okay. And this is from Travis. So his question is, are there best practices for the engineering documentation that these machines need to make it more AI friendly, so that it can be, I guess, sucked into the system? I mean, and thinking about that from the perspective of how you, I guess, design the information. Is that right? I'm thinking, Travis.
Okay.
Let's tackle that, because he has a follow-up, which specifically is so that then this information would be usable directly by frontline agents and end user technicians. So I suppose that's, how do you get it in, and then how does it get presented in a way that then these agents can then effectively sort of activate that, use it, consume it?
Sure. So So on the data side, there are two aspects that we look for. One is the volume, how large is the data source, and the other is quality of data, how clean is the data. For example, right, if you have a very old system that is capturing only 54 characters from what the technician is typing at the end of their technician notes or something like that, then a lot of your technician notes are going to be partial. So there is going to be a small value that you can derive from that, but you can still derive from that, right? In fact, we find that if there are handwritten notes that are that are scanned, that those can give more value than type notes if the type notes have either partial or some noise, as we call it. So things that are not relevant to the problem that we are talking about, right? So structuring data, having more fields, capturing as much as you can without burdening the employees. That's the way to go. As much automatic automating this whole process as you can helps. But really, there is no one sort of silver bullet. More structured, cleaner data. If you can read it and make sense of it as a human, the AI will be able to do it too.
Travis, let's see. Case capture. Oh, you're talking about the machine data. Machine design data. Are you talking specifically about sort of engineering documents and the like there, Travis? Is that what you are referring to? Yes. So that data, I suppose, Ajay, how does that get ingested in? The actual, I suppose, maybe not engineering diagrams, but maybe certainly the service diagrams that would have been used then in the past, so to speak, right? But the PDF kind of stuff that's classically, maybe even within an engineering system. How does that get ingested? And also, a related question, I think, is, does that data continue to reside in the source system? Does it get exported? I mean, how does that handoff, so to speak, from the I suppose the silos of data, such as they are, the data stores, get executed into your ingestion system?
Sure. So yeah, data ingestion. So if you have data in, let's say, PDFs or whatever format it is there, either you can put all of them together in one particular place and let us ingest that, or you can give us pointers to all of those databases and we'll pull the data, and our data ingestion will read through each of the PDFs or whatnot. And we have multiple methods of doing that. So if there are diagrams, we will extract diagrams from the data. We will understand that the ingestion engine will understand that this is a diagram based on its context, where it is coming from. It will know that whether it's an installation instruction or a repair instruction, a component access kind of a diagram, or a component testing kind of a procedure. And we provide all of these in a step-by-step manner. So if your technician is on field and wants to know how do I make sure that this transformer needs to be replaced or not. So it understands that, okay, you're asking about a component testing for a transformer for this model, for this appliance or whatever, and it provides that information on your mobile device, on a tablet, in a step-by-step manner. Go open this if you need help on accessing this transformer. These are the instructions. No, okay, go ahead. Let's open this. Let's see if it's giving this voltage, this current, whatever that is. These are the testing, component testing step by step. So this is all ingested and presented in a very user-friendly, targeted manner.
So presumably there are definitely humans in that loop then, Ajay. This is a collaborative process then between Brividi and then your customer who is presenting this data to you. And so that process involves, I mean, it's a consultative relationship at that point.
Yeah, I mean, consultative in the sense of getting access to data, knowing where the data is, Sometimes some of the data is very old and we don't need to look at. So always the customers, or for us customers, or the service organizations know their data the best. So we ask them all these questions on data quality, data volume, data location, where to look at, what not to consider, all these kind of things. But once we have that, the document ingestion, extracting of the diagrams, extracting of the step-by-step instructions, this is all automated. This is all neither us nor the customer need to.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. Well, look, we are at the top of the hour. And I just want to just note here that please feel free, if you have any follow-up questions that occur to you, even after we're closed here, please just go ahead and submit them to the email address, the approved email address, and Michael and Ajay will then get back to you. And I think at this point, maybe it's I just want to thank both of you. Michael, if you have any closing thoughts as you bring us to an end here.
No, I just think I appreciate the opportunity. It's been a privilege and an honor to be part of this webinar, and I encourage the audience to really give careful consideration to these tools and technologies. And I'm available. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
And I think it's also safe to say that pastel colors are in this summer. So
try to look stylish.
Very, very nice sartorial choices you gentlemen made there. Well, thank you everybody for being here and staying through to the bitter end. I see quite a few people left, which is always a really good sign. I think that's an indication of it being a really useful webinar. So thank you, both of you, gentlemen, for being here. And thank you, participants, for hanging with us. And we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you.